When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is Devoid of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. Now this is The Son of Brainiac, part 17. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. Deku and Child begin to venture into the large forest. Master, what do you expect to encounter when we finally arrive at the destination? Child put a finger under her chin and a thinking posture. That's a good question. I think we'll encounter... I have encountered very powerful magical sources in the past, and there's always been a guardian or two. And I have no doubt this magical source has a guardian as well. So you expect a fight, some sort of conflict. It's guaranteed, my adorable familiar. The moment they went deeper into the forest, they encountered several powerful magical barriers, trying to stop their progress. I might be new to this whole magic thing, but these magical barriers seem to be quite potent. Your analyzation of the situation is quite correct. It is quite impressive, actually. Of course, this barrier is no match for mine. My magical power easily blow these magical barriers away with my own magical power. But I suspect you can as well. You just have to apply a little bit pressure. But this is a good opportunity to teach you how to break a magical barrier without using physical strength. Because I turn you into my familiar, magic was infused into your core, granting you access to magic itself. Because of what you are, you won't be able to utilize magic to its fullest. But that doesn't mean you'll be weak in the art. You're just limited on what you can do. Place your palm on the barrier and sense the magic, and sense the magic surrounding us. Once you have channeled and gathered enough magic, either from the atmosphere, either from outside, siphoning the magic from this area, or using the magic that you have access to, then once you gather enough, release it all at once. He placed his palm on the green magical barrier and did what he was instructed to. He closed his eyes and sensed the magical energy that emanated from the forest. Then he started to focus on the magic inside himself. As he started to gather magic, using that outside source of magic to feel his magical power further. He gathered so much magic, he gathered as much magic he could, that he could handle and release it in a pulse. He was able to do it easily because he used a similar method when he uses his Kai energy that he generates inside his body. Magical barrier shattered instantly, as both Deku and Child continue going deeper into the forest. Excellent work. You're adept at it pretty easily. Once I figure out it was quite similar to the energy that I generate in my body, that I use in beam attacks. I use the same concept for the magic you were teaching me to use. I had no idea if they were familiar, wasn't adept or know about magic. But now that I know what to look for, I'll be able to access it to experiment later. It's one of the benefits of being a familiar. Magic was out of your reach beforehand. But the moment you became my adorable familiar, that door has been wide open for you. You won't be able to use magic to attack, but you clearly have skill to use it in mostly barriers, healings, and other methods. Don't worry, I plan to teach you. You'll be able to do. Oh, honestly, you don't need magic to attack with. You're powerful enough. I agree, Master. As tempting as it is to use magic in combat, it's unnecessary with my current skill set. You haven't seen all my tricks. Who knows? I might be able to achieve that when I gain my evolution. Who knows? That is a possibility. Not even I know what exactly will happen once you start to evolve. Your evolution might increase your capabilities of magic, but we'll just have to wait and see. Shall we continue, my adorable familiar? Of course, Master. They continue to walk, encountering more magical barriers. Child easily broke through them with her magic. As they finally arrive at their destination, after destroying several more magical barriers, they found themselves in a large spread out area with a huge lake. The strange thing about the lake itself, the water was silver, and there was a singular large silver tree in the middle of the lake with silver leaves radiating magical power. Even the silver water is radiated magical power. Suddenly, the silver water in the lake begins to form into a humanoid figure. The silver water slowly begins to become solid, revealing a silver-haired elf with blue eyes, with pointy ears, standing on top of the water like it's solid. Arrival was sooner than expected. The moment I felt your presence, I knew it was only a matter of time before you revealed yourself, Agent of Chaos. Consider me surprised. Never thought I would come across a living elf. I thought your kind either went extinct, or you had your tails between your legs and ran like cowards. The last time your kind came across any of the Lords of Chaos. My kind is fully aware of what you and your Lord of Chaos, your fellow agents of Chaos. We knew what you were trying to do, so we took some precautions. You might have killed several of my kin, but you didn't exterminate my species. The arrogance of you, Agent of Chaos. We simply just hid ourselves. But enough about that. Your presence here is defiling this sacred ground. And you, abomination, you shouldn't have come here. Now I have the full authority to boot you down. You no longer will cause harm to this planet. You will die here. And now. As a silver magical aura emanate from the elf's body. I wonder all of you elves are so arrogant. As a humongous silver magical circle appeared over the entire area, as a powerful reality warping spell activate. So when give me a second, guys. So their battle won't cause any harm to the sacred grounds they're currently in. It would be unwise. The water tree are very powerful magical sources. If they're disturbed by an outside magical source, it could cause a chain reaction, and that's something Victor doesn't want to happen. He's gonna try to avoid that as much as he can. He's been protecting this sacred ground for centuries now. He'll be down to let some agent of chaos and some abomination to change that. Victor believes deku should have never been created. All he sees is abomination that needs to be killed and cleansed. The scenery change. All Deku could see is water, so he used some Kai to stand on top of the water. Basically water walking with Kai. Similar method when you use chakra in Naruto, so that's how I'm gonna explain this off, how he could walk on water. So enough said, let's continue. Where are we? Quite simple. We're in a version of a pocket dimension that I created. We're in a very powerful reality warping pocket dimension, so we don't cause any damage to the secret tree in the surrounding area. Abomination. Get used to the scenery, because this is the last thing you ever see. And when I'm done with you, and when I'm done with your little pet, you're next, Agent of Chaos. I don't think so, Elf. Deku, show no mercy. This elf might be annoying, but he's definitely capable of hurting you, even killing you, if you're not too careful. So, crush him. With pleasure, Master. Deku did not wait for an invitation. Deku merely began to run on top of the water. Victor did the same and met him halfway as Deku ran towards them. As Deku got closer, so did Victor. Victor, as a member of the elf kind, is naturally stronger than normal humans, but Victor can tell this abomination is stronger than what he looks. So he infused his magic into his physical attacks. As Victor threw out a punch, so did Deku when their fists collided with each other. Immediately, they were sent skidding backwards on the surface of the water. whole area is a large body of water, no land in sight. The elf's pocket dimension that Victor created himself. See, you notice. Indeed, this dimension I created, there are no body of land. All there is water. You're a lot more physical, stronger than I originally thought, Abomination. You haven't seen anything yet, Elf Boy. I might have been ordered to take you out, but I would have took you out anyways. You're clearly a threat to my future plans, and my current plan in motion. Whatever the Agent of Chaos has planned, it will come to pass. I won't let it. You got one thing wrong, Elf Boy. This has nothing to do with my master. Wait, are you telling me everything that happened on this planet has been your doing? You weren't under orders by the Agent of Chaos? That only proves that you need to be destroyed. I can't allow a life form like you to exist to cause havoc across the galaxy. Pretty bold words for an elf boy. Prove it. Victor grind his teeth. Victor bursts into a insane speed and slammed his fist into Deku's stomach as Deku was sent skidding across the water until Deku recovered and maneuvered his body as he slid to a stop. And Deku was thankful that he did. When he finally stopped moving, he had to get into a fighting stance and block a strike coming from the silver-haired elf. With his forearm, Deku kicked Victor in the stomach, sending Victor shooting across the water like a rocket. Until Victor recovered his posture and skid to a stop upon the surface of the water. As both rush towards each other, exchanging powerful blows in close-quarter combat, as a shockwave are being created when their fists and legs collide with each other. After a few more clashes, Deku backed off by hopping backwards. Once he did that, that was a mistake on his part, as he found himself surrounded by several water dragon constructs made of pure water. Victor closed his fists as all the water dragon constructs that's made of pure water all rushed towards Deku on all sides. Deku was sent flying backwards hard by getting hit by several water constructs in the form of a water dragon repeatedly in his chest. That was infused with magic, actually hurting Deku. He didn't show it, but he was in pain. Deku eventually stopped his momentum and approached the elf very cautiously. It's not going to be easy as I thought this was going to go. I'm guessing that bastard elf has complete control over water, considering this whole artificial dimension he created is filled with nothing but water. So he apparently have plenty of ammunition to use on me. And that's not even including whatever tricks that doesn't evolve around water-based attacks. Let's see how you handle this. Deku shot out several big green exploding fireballs out of his mouth, shooting towards Victor. Victor, sensing the danger, he created a water wall, blocking majority of the exploding fireballs. but a few managed to get past his water wall. He immediately was sent flying backwards once the first fireball hit, and once the second one hit in his chest, that sent him even further. As two large green explosions went off, sending the elf flying backwards, skidding across the water like a rocket. Deku flash stepped right in front of Victor while he was in mid-flight and kicked him in the head, sending him further. Deku skid to a stop and shot out a large Kai beam, green Kai beam, out of the palm of his hand, hitting Victor in the stomach. As a large green energy explosion can be seen in the distance, Deku begins to channel green electricity throughout his body, as sparks of electricity can be seen emanated from his skin, waiting for the elf to make his next move. Deku's not fooled. He knows that attack did not seriously injure the elf, judging by how strong his life force, and not including his energy source, is quite strong. Victor came out of the smoking cloud calmly and dusted the dirt off of his suit nonchalantly. I see. I need to take you serious then. That was my mistake. The fact that you're able to use Kai is troubling. Deku formed a smirk on his face, so you actually notice. Of course I notice. There's not much, if any, to get past the elf. Well, aren't you special? Deku quickly aimed his palm towards the elf. As the middle of his palm began to separate, as a black bone spike came shooting out in rapid succession at Victor. Victor materialized his elfin magical katana. As the elf began to easily reflect the flying bone spikes with his sword, Deku, noticing this fight has now become a sword battle, so he did the same thing in kind and created a black bone katana and charged forward and began to proceed to perform rapid sword thrusts with his black bone katana in rapid succession at Victor. Victor simply dodged the thrust attacks or reflect the sword attacks with his own. Victor ducked under a sword thrust and went into a sword slash, forcing Deku to hop backwards to evade his stomach from being slashed open by the sword. Deku immediately re-engaged in the sword battle as he proceeded to perform a upward swing, only for the elf to easily dodge and swing his sword downwards, ready to chop Deku in half. Deku blocked the downward swung with his own sword and kicked the elf in the stomach, making Victor go skidding backwards across the water. While Victor was sent across the water, he shot his hand outwards with his palm extended. Some of the outside water source began to swirl around Victor's hand. Then Victor shot out several water bullets directly towards Deku. Victor could easily create his water bullet technique with his magic itself, but with a large outside source he's able to use. There's no reason to resort to using strictly his magic. Victor, it's true, Victor is using magic to make the last attack, but using a outside water source doesn't take much mana to perform. Deku saw the incoming water bullets and planned accordingly and dodged out of the way. Deku shot out a large wave of green fire out of his mouth, then immediately charged through his own fire. When Deku came out of his own fire attack in the middle of the air, he swung downwards his black bone katana down upon Victor, surprising the elf. Victor barely had enough time to manage to avoid a fatal wound, but he still got hit. There's a large slash wound on his shoulder as silver blood begins to drip from his bleeding wound. First blood on me, elf boy. You're a cocky little arrogant little shit. I'm going to destroy you. Such language from a prime and pauper elf. How adorable. Enough. Victor moved so fast, not even Deku could keep up with him, and slammed his fist into his stomach. From that simple blow, Deku was lifted off the ground a few inches as the elf performed a uppercut stomach blow. Immediately afterwards, Victor stared at Deku with a cold, calculated look and landed a spin kick into Deku's stomach, then immediately blasting him with a silver magical beam. Smoke cleared. You could see Deku heavily damaged and has no longer have a right arm. So this is pain. Deku starts to laugh as his body begins to regenerate. Even his missing arm was fully regenerated, like it was never destroyed in the first place. What sort of abomination are you, monster? The type that's hard to kill, elf boy. That was a nice shot. I could barely keep track of your insane speed you displayed just a second ago. Let's change that, shall we? Deku released a pulse of green energy, releasing 10% of his overall power. They both rushed towards each other. Deku could easily keep up with Victor this time around. Sparks begin to fly from their swords colliding with each other in inhuman speed. Only Child, if anyone else was in this dimension, they wouldn't be able to see them move. But Child could easily keep track of the fight. They both reappeared. The biological android and the elf have cuts all over their body from their clash with their weapons. For a filthy, disgusting abomination, you're pretty good with a sword. For a stuck-up elf, you're not too bad yourself. From our last clash, it's clearly obvious we're evenly matched when it comes to the blade. In this battle with swords is no longer necessary, wouldn't you agree? I agree completely, elf boy. Victor's sword vanished in a silver light, while Deku crushed his bone katana in his hands into tiny shards of bone. As the bone fragments begin to fall and sink into the water. Deku kept his opponent in his line of sight while walking towards him slowly. Not even the water was being disturbed as he walked onto the liquid surface of the water this entire fight. Luckily, Deku had no problem walking on a liquid body of water by using Kai on the bottom of his feet to keep himself upon the surface of the liquid surface. Deku decided to start things off this time around. Deku shot out a Kai blast from the palm of his hand as a distraction, and charged forward and landed a powerful right hook when Victor dodged the Kai blast. Deku followed up his attack by landing a left and right hook into the elf's ribs, then ending his combination by landing a electrified palm strike, shooting jolts of green electricity throughout Victor's body, electrocuting him. The silver-haired elf immediately went with the force of the palm strike, immediately minimizing the damage as Victor started to breathe heavy from being electrocuted and from the physical attack that was landed on him, on his chest, by Deku. Deku, on the other hand, seemed to be not even winded. He's breathing normally as his body's relaxed, unlike Victor, who's breathing heavy. I gotta admit, you have insane stamina to keep up with the elf. Impressive. We're only getting started, elf boy, as a pulse of green energy was released, as Deku released 20% of his overall. He released 20% of his sleeping power. Victor noticed his line of sight change, realizing he just got struck across the face as he was sent flying backwards. When Victor stopped moving from sliding across the water, he spat out silver blood out of his mouth. Victor's inner thoughts. How is this even possible? He just got a whole lot stronger. What is this monster? I need to end this fast, or he gets even stronger. As Victor can sense the sleeping power inside Deku, just waiting to be awakened, like a sleeping dragon. Deku shot several ki blasts from his index fingers in a familiar attack that Frieza would use, as Deku shot out multiple death beams from his fingertips. He got the idea while watching a Earth anime called Dragon Ball Z. To his surprise, most of the attacks he saw on that human anime, he was able to replicate, copy, similar moves like the Death Beam and other attacks using Kai. To his surprise, Kai can be used almost in the same way that's on that anime. He immediately tried to evade, but several of the death beams landed in his shoulder, injuring him even further. Victor immediately created a magical barrier around himself, tanking the rest of the death beams. Deku wasn't staying idle. He formed his hands in a very familiar posture as he begins to gather his green Kai energy in the palm of his hand. Once he gathered enough, he released it in a green Kamehameha wave. As the Kai technique was shot out of his hands, overtaking the magical barrier. All Child could see is a bright green light from the attack. When the energy explosion finally receded, when the smoke cleared, you could see a heavily damaged Victor. His right arm is limp to his side. His clothes is ripped and teared and burnt, as Victor is wounded in several different areas scattered about his body. Victor was shocked by that technique. His shield was completely obliterated. That was his most powerful magical barrier that he's ever created, and it was shattered like glass. From the raw power coming from Deku's last attack that he just performed, Victor finally realized he's fighting a losing battle. He's going to die if this continues. This abomination just keeps getting stronger, and he has no desire in awakening the sleeping dragon that's sleeping within Deku. He's in a tough spot. He knows he's actually causing bodily harm to the abomination, but the abomination just regenerates what damage he receives, making the battle even more deadly and more difficult for himself. He has to retreat, but he can't leave the sacred ground unprotected. He won't allow it. He won't allow the Agent of Chaos, in the form of that little girl, to get her hands. He shudders at the thought of what she could do with that sort of magical power. So he instantly deactivated his reality warping pocket dimension spell and returned everyone back to their normal reality. Deku found himself back into the forest, standing on the solid ground that's not too far away from the silver water and the silver tree in the middle of the lake. His eyes widen, knowing what he's planning to do. Stop the elf, kill him now, as Child yells out. You immediately charge at the silver elf, haired elf. Victor has already activated his spell and gave the abomination a smirk. You might have won this battle, abomination. Even in your victory, you still lost. You won't gain your prize, Agent of Chaos, as he glared at Child. In mid-charge, Deku created a kryptonite scythe when his weapons were mere inches away from Victor's face. Everything was engulfed in a silver light. When the light receded, Deku slid to a stop. The elf was no longer in sight, nor was the lake or the tree. Even the nearby trees were gone, as there was a huge crater where Deku was standing. A good portion of the forest was completely gone, like it was never there to begin with. Deku growled, realizing the bastard elf got away with the lake, including a good portion of the forest. He can't sense the same strong magical aura on this planet anymore. Clever little shit. Let's go. I'm already in a bad mood. I want some ice cream. Of course, Master. As Deku's kryptonite scythe shattered into green particles as he walked with Child, by walking beside her, on her right. A bit irritated that the bastard elf escaped like a coward. He was enjoying the fight. Despite his irritation and anger, he was surprised to know that elves actually exist. He thought they were just mere myth and fairy tale. There's much of the world, specifically the magical world, he's unaware of and hasn't experienced yet. I got a question, Master. Interesting. You've never been one to ask questions directly towards me before. Proceed, my adorable little familiar. What can you tell me about these elves? To my knowledge, until today, I thought they were just mere myth and legend. Fairy tales. To tell little kids. During their bedtime. A very good question. None of the Lord of Chaos knows exactly where these creatures come from that calls themselves elves. Including myself as well. They appeared out of nowhere during humanity's early development. They're powerful, much stronger, faster, flexible than humans. They have a very long lifespan, and they're naturally gifted in the art of magic. They appear during the Middle Age on Earth and other planets. Outside of the Lords, outside of the Lord of Order, like Dr. Fate, the the elves has been a thorn on every Lord of Chaos side since they revealed themselves. The odd thing, the elves suddenly vanish without a single trace to what happened to them. I originally thought they were all massacred, given several Lords of Chaos has killed several elves in the past. Not too many, to the point of their entire race to go extinct, but enough. We need to move more carefully from now on. I have no doubt this won't be the last time you engage in a battle with a elf. They'll most likely come after us both. Worry not, I don't believe they will interfere with your plans. It'll take some time for the elves to act. The elf you just fought was powerful, not the most powerful of their species. I have no doubt they've even got even stronger during their isolation, solitude, from the rest of the galaxy. Interesting. I very much would like to retrieve a elf for further study, but for now, you are right. We need to plan accordingly in case they get involved. Thank you, Master, for the information. There's much of the magical world you are unaware, my adorable familiar. I plan to catch you up on everything once you're done with the Green Lanterns. I won't interfere. If you succeed or fail, it would be completely up to you. I won't interfere unless your life is in danger. After all, without you, I can't keep a physical form in this realm. Of course, Master. It's good to see you still have an inquisitive mind that doesn't evolve around genetics or robotics. That mindset will only help you in the future. Deku and Child disappeared through a digital portal and reappeared on Deku's mothership. A few seconds later, a brainiac bot came out with a bowl of ice cream and handed it over to Child. Child hopped on Deku's black metal throne, sitting on sideways with both of her legs hanging off of the arm of the throne, eating her ice cream nonchalantly. Could be mistaken for just an innocent girl enjoying her treat. Deku's no fool. The whole innocent act is just an act. If anyone was ever fooled by her persona, they would ultimately not live long. Deku knows better to not underestimate Child or any Lord of Chaos. They're very unknown, powerful entities. Underestimating any of the Lord of Chaos is a death sentence at his current level. Deku focuses his attention on several factories that are being constructed in Japan and other countries all around the world. The factory itself mine natural resources from the planet in a form of a mining laser. It's a laser and a teleporter at the same time. That said, the factory itself will mine natural resources from the planet in form of a mining laser going into the planet's surface, collecting any useful material and mining ore. Unfortunately, it's going to take some time for them to be constructed. There's only a few of them that are operational, but there's not any operational factories in Japan. Deku is standing in front of the large window with his hands behind his back on his mothership as the large metal door to the window begins to spread apart, revealing a clear image of planet Earth from outer space, where his mothership is currently at, just outside the planet's atmosphere. That's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judged by time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.